Where are you from?
I am from the Upper West Side of Manhattan, 94th Street, Columbus Avenue. Born and raised my whole life there. Also Cape Cod, spent my summers on Martha's Vineyard. That's pretty much where I got my love for manicuring plants and kind of doing backyard work and working for nurseries up there in Cape Cod was my first exposure to working with plants.
Nice. And now you're really heavily involved in aquaponics and hydroponics, even some aeroponics.
Yep.
So tell us about that. Like, how did you make the switch, or what was kind of the moment that you got inspired to take on hydroponics?
I knew that the movement, the green movement, was going to hit New York. So observing potential businesses that I could kind of pursue, I had an entrepreneurial background, so I wanted to tie a passion into a business that was potentially going to boom in New York City and then beyond New York City. So I looked at urban farming as a viable source in doing that. Having a background in aquaponics or aquaculture, I felt that I had a suit that I could kind of concentrate on and frame my own approach in urban farming with essentially farm raising fish and plants together, which was my original kind of business plan approach.
Right. So we get a lot of questions about how to get started in hydroponics. I can start with aquaponics.
Sure.
What was, did you start experimenting at the beginning? Did somebody mentor you? Did something happen that inspired you? What was, how did you get your hands dirty?
So, that was a great question. As funny as it might sound, my grandmother really taught me how to raise fish. So, South American cichlids was the first fish I ever raised. And the cichlidine family, tilapia belonged to this family. So I essentially have been raising tilapia-like cichlids for a lot of years. And that's the #1 easy farm-raised fish right now. And they are a fish that can symbiotically be raised with plants also. So I basically came up with a business plan, looked for a school that I could get some training from just to kind of reinforce the principles that I thought I knew. But I needed some hands-on experience.
So, did that kind of lead into you've been working a little bit with, Skyponics is really something you started, and it involves really setting up aquaponic systems and also doing education around that. When about did that happen?
So 5 years ago, I got my first contract in Spring Creek Gardens in Brooklyn, which is one of New York City's largest co-op housing complexes. It's right on the edge of John F. Kennedy Airport, JFK Airport. They really wanted a garden educator. They were totally absent to the idea of hydroponics and what that could do. So I came in and I did garden education for the first year for 3 schools and a yeshiva in Spring Creek Garden, which was really cool because it gave me a chance to try out different curriculum and work out different ages of groups.
Right.
And as I got better at it, they were open to expanding the program. So I did a proposal about doing a hydroponic, aquaponic program, and the owners got really excited over the idea.
Nice.
And we wrote a grant and ended up being awarded from eBay, and I built the first aquaponic, hydroponic laboratory in Brooklyn.
Wow.
At PS 346.
What an achievement. It's so great to get eBay involved as well.
Yes.
And just really inspiring that to know you can get excited about something like aquaponics and then formulate that business and go for it.
Yes.
So it's really incredible work. How was it working with the kids at the beginning? What challenges did you face, and what was kind of some of the biggest victories you found?
Well, that's a great question. A lot of times people have the perception that programs are kind of, you plug them in and they automatically work in the beginning, and it doesn't work like that. A commonality between growing plants and a program is you plant a seed that you expect to be healthy and be able to be vibrant, but you have to nurse it and manicure it with a green thumb, green hand, or a careful hand. So we had to break it down to smaller groups. The teachers were really resistant to using a garden as an educational tool at first. So I needed to work the first year. Quite honestly, it took a year to get the vehicle really efficient and moving. Once the teachers bought into it and they saw how excited the kids were and they couldn't wait to get around it, it really got moving. You know, the other key point of this is branding yourself. So
Farmer Randy. Yeah, and the kids love that, right?
Love it. It makes a difference. It gives them somebody that they can identify with that they've only read about in terms of farmers from a book standpoint or watching on television or anything. Cities don't have farmers. You know, we have tiny gardens, but to me it was important that they were able to say, I know a farmer and perhaps I can aspire to that one day.
Yeah, I mean, so many of us and so many of young people are growing up in these mega cities and they're so disconnected from food on every level of production, actually even knowing what good food is. And, you know, it's a really interesting approach that you're saying, you know, you need to have the children experience, the youth experience what it's like to know a farmer, someone who cares for the produce, someone who knows how to grow the produce, and you can talk to about food and where it all comes from. So,
and it's cool to do. It's a hip, you know, it's not, you know, it's something that fits in the fabric of an urban travel.
But the branding goes beyond that for you, right? As well, because you come from a little bit of a comedy background, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
So, of course, like, you know, loving to be a performer, when I'm in Farmer Randy mode, it is like my sketch comedy background. So,
you wear a hat,
I wear my hat, you know, I have my shears in one hand and my rake in the other, and it gives me a chance to be the character, Farmer Randy character. And I come from a sketch comedy background, so I love.
So you're on your toes all the time.
Exactly, and it's also a way that it makes the workshops interesting. I grew up on Mr. Rogers, I grew up on Sesame Street, characters that when I was little I gravitated to and I thought they were interesting and, you know, dynamic. So being able to present that it's important. It also gives another level of ownership the kids can feel and hug on and feel passionate about.
So, you know, your programming experience doesn't just limit to you know, that really amazing achievement with starting aquaponics at a school in Brooklyn. But you've also been involved here, and our audience probably hears the noise around the background. We're at the Children's Aid Society in Harlem. It's Harlem Week, so there's a lot of things going on, a lot of sports, a lot of food activities. So, you know, tell us about your beginnings with the Children's Aid Society and what you learned through that experience.
So this was one of the blessings of the evolution of how Seed Street had come about. Was the opportunity to go back to the first agency that gave me my first youth development job, and that's the Children's Aid Society. My mother was a really important director here years ago. My father did some consulting also with the Children's Aid Society, and when I came back from LA after having a small 3-year acting experience, this is the place that gave me my first opportunity to work with kids and do youth development. So with this Seed Street business opportunity, I said, hey, this is the flagship community center in Harlem. There's 5 public schools surrounding this community center. We have a load of kids coming in, and we can positively affect their lives by implementing the Seed Street mission.
Yeah, so that's what we're here to talk about, you know, is Seed Street, you know, Harlem's newest, freshest, you know, food justice and health project. And what are we looking at here behind us?
Okay, so right here we have your not so average freight container. It came to us as an average freight container. These containers are literally all over the world right now, and a lot of folks are looking for uses to convert them. We were blessed with some freight containers that we had an opportunity to convert into greenhouse/controlled environment hydroponic mobile farms. So this is our first conversion. We dropped it by crane over this wall, which was, needless to say, was a stressful experience, but a necessary experience. As this company is growing, we're going to be shipping these things all over the world. So even though the first one came from downtown just to Harlem, it was, you know, it was daunting for us, and it was a great experience, though.
Yeah, I mean, congratulations on that. It's, you know, we've seen that it's really difficult to get urban agriculture projects started. both in the financing realm and actually managing some of these kind of coding challenges. It's really great to find a partner like Children's Aid to set this up. Now, we're not going to reveal everything on the inside of the container because we want to keep agriculture viewers excited, and we'll do another video when it's all ready.
Cool.
But tell us a little bit about what you're going to be growing in there and some of the techniques you're going to be using.
Awesome. So what we wanted to do with our hydroponic program is kind of take an approach of a mixed salad bar. Out in Brooklyn, we basically did a lot of heavy lettuce and greens and herbs because that's what the systems that we use out there were really good for. Producing lettuces, microgreens, quick. I mean, I've had 650 students that I had to serve, so we needed stuff we could flip really quickly. Here in the center, we could slow it down a little bit and mix up our different hydroponic approaches. So we're using some 3-inch smaller green pots that will produce lettuces, and then we're going to do some deeper pots that we can produce some tomatoes and some fruiting plants. We have a really cool wellness program, so we're going to do some teas, things that evoke cool conversations about how to improve your life by what you put in your body.
We're going to be growing teas, and kind of, who's the target for that, right? That's like
I think
it's a little bit of a health angle,
it is
right?
a health
Trying
angle.
to get people to drink healthier drinks and not so sugary ones.
Exactly.
Understand kind of what natural things are out there. So you're growing tea in the ship.
Growing tea in the inside the area. And as you're saying, we have a mixed age group that we can reach out to and target. This is an opportunity for parents and children to work together in exposing themselves to this new green lifestyle, exposing themselves to a way to infuse their bodies with food that was grown by themselves, a way to control what you eat, and a way to control your health, have a direct input in that. So this wellness conversation can be fostered around these tea plants that are growing. The kids may not be as interested in it, but their mothers and fathers clearly may be able.
And that's great that you're looking beyond that. So you're moving from just the programming with the youth and the kids to really thinking about the community as a whole. So maybe let's tie that into kind of what's happening here in Harlem. And you know, there's kind of a lot of different voices going on, right? You see kind of the people very disconnected from the community calling Harlem a food desert. And that, you know, that's not really the right term for it. It's much more complicated than that.
A lot more complicated.
We were speaking to a young lady, or a lady here that was you know, telling us that there is some fresh food access, you need to find it. And so talk about, you know, how you feel about food access in Harlem, and how we can make that more equitable. And what really Seed Street's role in that.
Well, it's pivotal for me in the age that I'm in, and as I said, I grew up south of 110th Street. So if you're a person from Manhattan, you understand the difference that occurs once you enter Harlem and above Harlem. So for a lot of years, me living literally down the block, there were no access to the type of fresh fruits and vegetables that you would get in Lower Manhattan, on the Upper West Side, on the East Side. Excuse me, West Harlem right now, it was the first part of Harlem to get a real injection of economic development, and with that, ushered in Whole Foods, ushered in Harlem Market, ushered in Fairway, places that do provide fresh fruits and vegetables. But still a little while to travel to them. It's not like the Upper West Side where every other block you have a stand, you have a market a few blocks where you can get these things. So I realized that in business development, that's an area we can fill, that needs to be filled desperately.
So, you know, let's talk about Harlem and food. 5 years from now, right? That's, you know, 2020. Wow, I'm saying that.
2020.
So, so you know, what do you think about you know, food and food access in Harlem 5 years from now? And Seed Street's, well, your role in that, right? Because you're really, you know, you're leading this. You're the farmer Randy, right? You're getting the food out there. That's a tough question, but you know, paint a picture for us.
In 5 years, in our most optimal growth, I can envision Seed Street being the DuPont, being the Hawthorne of urban farming in New York City. I would like us to have access on corporate buildings, rooftops. I would like us to have relationships with the biggest realty companies in New York City where we're getting economic development, job development from these farms that we're putting all over the place. The city has nothing but space that can accommodate our containers. It's only a matter of, it's very flexible. They're stackable. We can integrate greenhouses. We can customize it for the demand. And that's the dream that I see us going to.
Wow, it's great talking with you, Randy. So we're here at Seed Street, Harlem's newest sprouting food access project with Farmer Randy. Farmer Randy, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
We're going to be watching you closely, talking about it, and you know, you keep growing and really changing lives here in Harlem and beyond. And I wish you all the best with this expansion and really getting these containers of food around.
That means a lot, bro.
Thanks so much for your time.
I appreciate it.
Take care. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.